Hello, everybody! Welcome to a podcast Orange. We're up here drinking Yinglings. My name is Jack Siegel. To my left is my good friend and co-host Tom Crescenzo. Hello, Tom.
What's happening? What's going on? This is Copyright Orange. I'm here. Yeah, can't believe it. We got hit with a copyright strike.
I'm surprised that it took this long.
Yeah, to be honest. Like the way I would do these intros is like, it's pretty illegal. Like, it's not really, like, nobody, I feel like it might partially be protected by fair use, maybe, because it's not like I'm playing clips of the movie and claiming that they're mine. I'm just using clips from the movie and, like, chopping it into a little bit and then just putting it before. I, like, lower the volume, too. I figured that changes it enough. But I guess for the last episode, I used a song initially. And then when it's music, it's like, oh, yeah, it picks up right away.
Maybe the fact of the matter is that our podcast has gotten so big now that YouTube has picked up on this.
Yeah, now they're catching on. They're like, hey, if you guys are going to be making content with this wide of a spread.
Yeah. If you guys are going to appeal to your massive market.
Listen, if you're going to corner the incels, you're going to have to.
We have that market down.
Yeah, we do. But, yeah, so that's the thing is, until we can get an actual intro made or thought of or something, I don't know. I guess we're just not going to have the intros anymore. Sorry,
I say that
guys,
we should have the Pornhub intro. Doon.
You imagine Pornhub hit us with a copyright strike? And they're like, you are not within your legal limits. It's like, you guys really are one to talk about ethics.
Yeah, exactly. We're not the one who traffic underage women.
Yeah, right. Like, we're not the one that has a category specifically for teens. Like,
yeah, or stepsisters, or
Yeah, and they don't literally fuel my addiction every single minute. But yeah, so fucking that's the story with that. Eventually we'll get a new intro going.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
But hey, good news. Some good news. Herman Cain't died.
Yes.
Yay! Fuck him. He's dead. Yay!
Yeah.
I hate that guy.
Same. I'm really glad that the author of Harry Potter, who was it again? No, for a minute I forgot who it was, and I mean,
it was Dean.
I remember now. Like you know what it was? When I first saw it, like, I thought it was like that.
You thought it was Ben Carson, didn't
you?
Yeah. You definitely thought it was Ben Carson.
No. You know what? I actually thought it was a joke. Because I saw it, and for a second I forgot who Herman Cain't was, and then I was like, oh yeah, that's right. And then I was like, no way, he didn't die from the coronavirus. This is such a made-up. Is this the onion? Yeah, I'm like, is this the hard times or some shit? And then I like looked into it, and I'm like, oh shit, he's fucking dead.
He's dead. He's dead as what is it? Dead as a doorknob?
Doornail.
Are doornails dead?
I mean, they're not really alive, so kind of worse. But you could say that
you could dead. They're just inanimate objects.
I mean,
they were never alive to begin with.
There's some sort of old English reason as to why that's said, but it could be applied to anything.
He's as dead as a dead person.
Yeah, he's as dead as a dead cat. Where like, it's just like, he's as dead as my grandma.
I miss you, Grandma.
I miss you so much, Grandma, and Herman Cain't, but Grandma, no.
Imagine being Herman Cain's wife, and you had to, when your orgasm, you had to shout Herman. Oh, Herman.
Oh, yeah,
Hermie,
right.
My Hermie.
That's why she probably waited until after she came to do that, and then she would, like, pretend to come afterward just so she could get his name out there.
I'm married to a guy named Herman.
The guy who sticks his dick in me every night is named Herman.
There's no
actually. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm saying that. I don't know why I think Herman Cain't got laid every night.
No, probably every now and then. Unless he would fuck one of his pizzas.
I don't know. You think he was packing?
I mean, I don't know.
Could you imagine if Herman Cain't just had like a fucking like down to the knee sized cock? Like, he would just take his pants off and it would just like swing.
Dicks.
He'd just be like, yeah, there it is.
I think that all anti-maskers have small dicks. I don't have any research behind this.
Maybe.
Well, here's my theory behind that. Is because they're just so fucking angry. And they're constantly trying to, like, overcompensate by this, like, fake sense of masculinity of, like, I'm so tough, I don't need a mask. And So it's like
Very true.
They're compensating for something.
It connects to another indicator of having a small penis, which is always trying to cite that your freedoms are being taken away.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as you're like, guys, what about our freedoms? Like, unless you have a legitimate argument, that's basically, as they say, that's pretty much small dick energy.
It's little dick energy. And also, I feel like the whole idea of, like, I'm tough, I don't need a mask. Wasn't it more tough? Isn't it, like, less tough because you're saying, like, you're too much of a bitch to wear a mask?
Right. You're like, I'm so tough that I refuse to wear a face covering for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm so tough that I won't do it.
And the thing about it is, like, listen, I fucking hate wearing a mask. I was wearing one the other day in the grocery store, and it was just like, I feel like I'm gonna fucking die. It sucks because it's 1,000 degrees right now.
I mean, yeah.
But, you do what you gotta do, right?
That's the thing. It's just like, nobody's saying you have to wear it while you're walking down the sidewalk. It's like, just wear it if you know you're not social distancing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like... It's not like the government is gonna come to our houses and staple the masks to our faces tomorrow. Like, although I could see them doing that one day.
I mean, honestly, some people, like, I don't know. People just love to bitch and complain.
I'll say this. I don't think that anybody deserves to die because they were too much of a dick to wear a mask. I think it's like, to me, not wearing a mask is kind of like not wearing your seatbelt when you drive. Like, It's like, I don't think you deserve to die, but, like, if you do die, like, it's kind of your fault.
I don't feel necessarily sorry for you.
Also, if you kill somebody while you're driving drunk, like, same thing. If you kill somebody because you weren't wearing a mask in front of them and you had COVID and they were immunocompromised, like... It's the same thing as driving drunk. Like, you think you're only putting yourself in danger, but you're putting other people in danger. And you're also Herman Cain't, so, like, what the fuck is your problem?
Well, also, it's just that, it's being, I don't feel sorry for you. And also, it's kind of funny. Like, in a way,
the irony is pretty funny.
The irony is beautiful. I always imagine, like, the Curb Your Enthusiasm theme music playing when somebody dies from that, because it's just perfect irony.
Especially with Herman Cain't, because word around, like, the campfires that, like, he went to Donald Trump's Tulsa rally without a mask on. And I don't know if they can prove that that's when he got the virus, but, like, if that's actually when he got the virus, like, that's pristine, golden, delicious irony.
That means that Donald Trump killed Herman Cain't.
Yeah, right.
So
that means Herman Cain't signed his own death warrant the day that he first shook Donald Trump's hand.
Yeah, it's like, and that's the thing too. Was fucked up about that rally was they made people sign waivers saying, like, if you get COVID, you can't hold us responsible. So they knew that they were gonna, like, they knew that there was a possibility that people could not only get the virus at that rally, but then fucking die. So what I'm trying to say is that the President of the United States is a murderer.
I mean,
killing people.
When you think about it, when you put it that way, it's like you're basically saying, like, you can come to our rally, like, we know you're gonna come and it's high risk, like, if you die or get seriously ill because of this, you can't hold us responsible. It's basically saying, like, we don't want to be held responsible for maybe killing you.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's kind of like what the argument someone make is that that's kind of like what big tobacco does.
Yeah.
With, like, smoking and shit. But
big
some people would argue,
awful.
Some people would argue that big tobacco are murderers too. And I would fucking agree. I hate being addicted to nicotine.
I mean, big tobacco is a horrible thing. You know, that's the thing is that it's a trend. Because it was not only Herman Cain't, but it was that guy who co-founded Turning Point USA with Charlie Kirk, who was also 74, and he died of the coronavirus after being one of those anti-mask people. But the reason that they're pieces of shit goes even deeper, because those people hold positions of power. And so when those people say, the coronavirus is all just bullshit, don't wear a mask, masks are for pussies, yada yada yada, then people hear that. Stupid people hear that, they're like, well, this guy said I'm not going to wear a mask, fuck them. Now those people can get other people sick, and those people can get other people sick. So it's like, in a way, they're killing other people. It's not, they don't, their whole, like, don't wear a mask, their whole conspiratorial bullshit doesn't exist in a bubble. It's damaging other people.
To be fair, though, you have to be especially dumb to be like, yeah, Herman Cain't said so.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to say, like, oh, like, Dr. Ben Carson, like, he's a doctor. I wouldn't, excuse me. Sorry, that was the coronavirus. No, but I wouldn't, I wouldn't be surprised if someone took something Ben Carson said seriously. But it's like, you have to be especially, at least uneducated, to be like, yeah, Herman Cain't said it's all right not to wear a mask.
Yeah, the CEO of Godfather's Pizza said that you shouldn't wear a mask.
Godfather's Pizza.
But
this is a reference that most people are not going to get, but Herman Cain's essentially the Dan Romano of, like, Republican politics.
Yeah, exactly. He owns a shitty pizzeria that... Actually, I've never had it. I don't know.
It's probably shitty.
I
wouldn't be surprised. If it's anything like his policies, it's at least not good.
I heard that it's crap pizza, like Godfather's Pizza.
The thing about how it's named, like obviously it's not the same, but like a black guy opening a pizza place named Godfather's Pizza, like it's kind of like
racist.
it's like if I opened up a fried chicken place and I named it like
Uncle Remus.
Yeah, like Uncle Remus. Or like Granddaddy Cane's fried chicken.
Jay-Z's fried chicken.
Jay-Z. Come to Big's fried chicken.
Biggie and Tupac. And just has a picture of like Biggie and you superimpose like a thigh, him eating just...
Yeah, right, like it's like a shitty Photoshop job of him eating a giant turkey leg.
It's just like he's like, what do Italians like? They like the Godfather.
Yeah, right. It's
Godfather's Pizza.
Yeah, like, okay, Italians. Garlic, I can't name it garlic pizza. Mafia, too on the nose. It's gotta be Godfathers. Should have at least made it like Goodfellas. Then I would at least go there just for the namesake.
You could have had Scarface and had shitty pizza.
I mean, it's already shitty pizza. It might as well bear the name.
But, no, I mean, here's the thing, though. It's like, you know, and I hate to always bring the conversation back to this guy, you know, because I don't want it to be like just any other podcast. But, like, Trump's not a doctor, right? He has no knowledge of anything. But he's the president of the United States. So people will still listen to what he says. Yeah. Even though he'll just spout bullshit. So when he says, like, you know, mask, don't wear a mask, don't do this, don't do that, even though he was wearing a mask. But when he shouts bullshit from his mouth and people believe that, it's the same thing. It's just like people believe people that are in positions of power. People believe celebrities. People believed vaccines, the anti-vaccine shit, because Jenny McCarthy was spewing that stuff.
Yeah, right.
Like it's just people are retarded. If you're famous, people think you're an expert in everything.
People, even if they know you're not an expert, people think you have a better perception of things for some reason. Yeah. It's so not true.
I know this guy, so he must know what he's talking about.
It's like, yeah, he made that album that he was on crack for the whole time that he made it. He clearly knows a lot about foreign policy.
Yeah.
That's why I hate when people, like, especially, like, Tarantino, like, when someone like him, like, speaks about, like, politics and shit. It's like, dude, you make movies about, like, shooting... Like, just basically, like, the F word and people, like, shooting each other in the face. Like, yeah, they're very, like, well thought out, well written movies. Mm-hmm. But it's like, who are you to try to, like, tell anybody how to vote?
Yeah, and I mean, listen, I'm not one of those people that says, like, you know, celebrities shouldn't talk because...
I agree,
like,
but it's
people,
like...
you know, they're people, they can say whatever the fuck they want. They have every...
But also don't be on a pedestal.
Yeah,
that's
exactly. Like, your opinion isn't any more valid than mine.
Just think of yourself as, like, if you're gonna say something, make sure it's not something that people can interpret the wrong way, in a way that's gonna hurt society, I guess. Like, I think it's like, if you're gonna speak on politics, you should at least try to be informed about what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's why everyone's getting pissed off at Elon Musk. Like, all he really knows about is how to run a $1 billion company. Like, he doesn't know shit about policy or anything.
Dude, Elon...
And he goes on Twitter, and he just like...
Have you been following Elon's Twitter recently? He has gone off the fucking
Him and
rails.
his wife are, like, at each other's throat.
Because he posted that, like, anti-trans thing. He was
he basically...
Pronouns are bullshit.
Yeah, pronouns suck, that whole thing. We may have mentioned that
the richest... troll in the world. He is the richest internet troll. He is the most successful internet troll of all time.
It's weird to see him and his wife publicly arguing over it, though.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, there's people DMing his wife, like, you should just leave him. He's a transphobe anyway. You're so much better than that, sister.
Yeah, Grimes.
Yeah, Grimes. Like,
Grimes?
Yeah, like, what the fuck is that? When I first saw people talking about that, I was like, who the fuck is Grimes?
What kind of a name? She's grimy.
He's arguing with fucking Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead.
Carl, you can't be mean to trans people.
Carl, the pronouns are important, Carl.
And you know they're having, like, angry sex on a giant pile of money.
Yeah, so right. Like, what are they even fighting about?
It's just like that scene in The Wolf of Wall Street when Leo has sex on money. That's just what they do. It's like...
But there is, today he tweeted something that makes me think they might be having troubles. Let me see if I can pull it up.
He's gone off the rails though, and people are like, I don't know. I think he just wants attention.
He tweets this. It says I just died in your arms tonight.
Isn't that like a song or something?
Like, I have no idea what it is, but that's like the equivalent of like a 13-year-old who cuts themselves in like 2008 going on like MySpace or something and just being like
the Hello Kitty profile.
Or just like a profile picture of like the dude from Cowboy Bebop right before he dies. Like, and it's just like, he's just like, I can't stand the blackness anymore. And people just like, call me if you're okay. Like,
you know that he's listening to like a Mayday Parade album too, and he's listening to Taking Back Sunday while he's posting that. Like I think he reminds me a lot of like a little kid who's like spilling a glass of milk because he wants people to pay attention to him. Like he just wants attention. Like,
it's weird. It's like, dude, you have billions of dollars. Why do you need this? Like, most people in your position have no social media presence.
Like Bill Gates isn't on Twitter. Bill Gates doesn't give a shit what anybody thinks of him.
You know who else isn't on like Twitter really? The fucking owner of Twitter, the CEO, whatever. What's that guy's name?
Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, Jack Dorsey. It's crazy seeing people on Twitter. People are like, billionaires shouldn't exist. I mean, except the one who runs this app.
Except the ones who allows me to say this.
Except for the one who gives me the most, like, toxic form of free speech accessibility possible.
God.
He's okay. He's a good billionaire, but all those other ones.
I'm glad you're admitting it's toxic.
I admit it. I use Twitter as a public notebook. I don't think it's like, there's nothing good about
Twitter
it. It's not good for society.
I mean, all social media is horrible. Let's be honest.
To an extent, I think
Twitter is worse.
I think there's good things about it. Like, we've talked about this before, but I think one thing Twitter is good about it is like it does spread awareness for things. It doesn't always do it in the right way, but like I remember saying to you once, like I found out about George Floyd on Twitter before I saw it on the news. Like, there's a lot of things that like I don't look them up until I see like someone try a shitty joke on Twitter, and I'm like, oh, like what is that? And then I'm like, oh, so some shit's happening. Like,
but like there is. The only positive thing I could really think of is, like, I don't know, you get to, like, see your cousin who you haven't seen in a million years or whatever. Like,
well, there's also, like,
whatever, but, like,
promotion, like, it's good for promotion. One thing is that it's great for...
bullying and low self-esteem and
does.
Depression. And
but honestly, good. We shall purge the weak. Now, kids
should be depressed.
Kids need to be tough, okay?
Yeah, it's good for the backbone.
That's why you need to let the older kids in school dip your head into the toilet. It's about being tough.
And say, you're a fucking faggot!
And that's why they get to stick a broomstick up your ass in the gym locker room. Oh, God. Little 13 Reasons Why referencing.
I never saw that show.
Fuck that show. I tried watching
stupid.
it. It's so, like... It's depressing, and there's nothing redeeming about it.
Doesn't it glorify suicide?
It doesn't. It doesn't even like.
It
glorifies it, and it doesn't. But that's not even what it is. Like, I don't care about a show, like movies and shows that go really dark. It just the characters are really lame. The acting is bad. The writing's not that good, and it's just so depressing to the point where it's like, if it's gonna be this depressing, you need to do more on the artistic side in producing the show. Like, it needs to be more of an attention grabber. They need to see more decisions made in the process of creating this piece of quote-unquote art. Instead, I have what's basically like another example of, like, I don't fucking know. Like, what's a shitty high school show?
One Tree Hill.
Yeah, something like that. It's basically like Suicidal One Tree Hill. That's exactly what 13 Reasons Why is.
Or something. It's this, it looked like a shitty fucking version.
It's basically like Dawson's Creek for people who cut themselves.
Oh, God.
Like, that's exactly what it is.
There's only been like a few good high school shows.
I mean, there's like
Freaks and Geeks.
Yeah, that's a good show.
My So-Called Life from the 90s.
You know, it was a good show, and this is a cartoon.
Claire Danes.
Daria is a great show.
Daria was the tits.
Daria is one of the... in my opinion, that's the best high school show because it's the most down-to-earth example of a high school show.
Well, Stranger Things, too, but that wasn't really a high school.
That's not high school. That's like middle school.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
but their older sister was in high school.
Yeah, but she's not, like, the main character.
And it wasn't really about high school.
Yeah, it's more just about, like, this other dimension.
Supernatural shit. I mean, that's the thing about Netflix, though. For every show like Stranger Things... or The Kaminsky Method, or Orange is the New Black, that's just, like, fucking awesome television. There's, like, 5 shows, like, 7 Reasons Why, 13 Reasons Why.
5, 7, 8. How many reasons is it, babe?
There's too many reasons.
Yeah, right. It's like,
how
come
about
on.
13 Reasons Why the show shouldn't exist?
Yeah, right. I like to think of like somebody who's actually suicidal reviewing 13 Reasons Why. Like, bitch, most people call it at like number 4. Come on,
yeah,
like
exactly.
get with the program. Like, I tried to hang myself at reason 2. Like, fucking.
Yeah, no, it's just like,
you know what it is? It's also just not pleasant. Like, there's like a rape scene in the show. Like, I don't I don't want to watch kids get raped. Like, there's only one thing. Like, there's
I do.
I mean, you know, we can't all just be Jack Siegel. Jared from Fogel's like, me too.
I think it's the best show ever. What are you talking about?
Yeah, right. He's like, actually, I think it's brilliant. No, but here's the thing. Like, if you're gonna show me something that fucked up, like, there's a movie called Kids. That's equally fucked up. But the thing that makes Kids really different from something like 13 Reasons Why is Kids is not like. Kids approaches it in a way that skips the melodrama and actually gets right to the psychotic nature of like how American culture influences young people to do bad things. And most of the disturbing shit is done through implication.
Yeah.
And yes, there's a lot of fucked up scenes and there are rape scenes. There are rape scenes,
but it doesn't show it. And the ending is the darkest,
the ending is so
fucked up thing. I like one of the ending of that movie makes you want to take a cold shower afterwards. Like, Kids is amazing because it really sounds like Kids. Like,
it's real.
The dialogue is very real.
What makes Kids better than 13 Reasons Why as far as a show, like a really fucked up piece of art or entertainment, is that the artistic decisions in Kids are shown through the acting and the direction. Like, it doesn't feel like you're watching a movie. It feels like you're following a bunch of kids. Like a bunch of 16-year-olds just bumming around New York City.
Just drifting aimlessly.
Just doing drugs and
having
drinking.
sex and drinking and smoking weed.
Like, it actually...
skateboarding.
And that's what's the difference, is that the artistic attention to, like, the experience of the film makes for a more profound delivery of the message than something like 13 Reasons Why, which basically seems like High School Musical without the music where Troy rapes Vanessa. Like, it doesn't seem like... there's nothing really redeeming about it. But,
it's like,
you know.
Well, yeah, and also the thing about Kids, too, is the acting and how, not just how real it was, but... It really feels like it's just a day in the life. Like, you're just spying, like you said, like you're just spying on these kids in a way. And it was kind of like Harmony Korine was the guy who wrote it, and he was like 14 or something when he wrote it. And it was basically like a mirror image of society. It was like, this is what the youth is really like. And it's kind of like,
and this is the culture
like
that causes
psychopaths.
It.
And they're like there's this one scene when at the beginning when the two boys are talking and the guy just had done. He was like, the first scene is this kid, the main character, is having sex with this girl, and she's like, do you love me, though? He's like, yeah, I love you. And, you know, he's lying to her, manipulating her, and then he just fucks her, and then he's like, just leaving and hanging out with his friends, like, oh, you fucked her, and they're just talking about this girl.
And they're talking about it horribly, too.
Yeah, like, she's
he's
just
like, yeah, bro, like, you gotta be the one who takes the girl's virginities, bro. It makes you the man. And it's just like, they're just kids, quote unquote. But what's great about it is it shows the social, like, sort of like implications that have been drilled into his brain that make him think that's okay. Like, women are these objects, these
disposable things that
and
if you fuck and you get rid of.
And if you can get them when they're the most pure, you're the coolest. Like, it's all these things that, you know, but we could go on about that movie forever because, you know, we both really like that movie. But that was just an example of a really fucked up piece of entertainment that's good versus something like 13 Reasons Why that you would only watch if you want to masturbate to a pretty well-directed, like...
Have you watched Riverdale?
No, I haven't.
Or I haven't seen that either. I've heard mixed things. One great show from high school I just remembered was Skins.
That I'd never seen.
The British version, not the MTV remade it in America, and it sucked fucking dick because it's an MTV show. What do you expect? But the British version is like a really great show, and that one, like every season is a different cast.
True.
And like, I don't know. That one was also accurate and also had like drugs and sex and you know.
I mean, to be honest, the thing about high school movies, even something like Kids, is they never really capture like what was actually fucked up about high school. You know what I mean? Like, because I remember, like, I don't know if you had this. Did you have Anti-Violence Initiative Day?
No.
When you were a kid? See, like, okay, so basically when I was in high school, They did this yearly assembly. It basically took the place of a talent show, and it was a live performance where students would perform, like, you know, kids' bands would play, people would sing, and there'd be, like, little act-outs, and it was all just anti-violence initiative. Like, the point it was supposed to be anti-violence, but, you know, really it was just like, and we're also gonna do the best we can to shove the PC culture down your throats at a young age so that you're conditioned young.
Don't
like,
be mean to this group.
Yeah, just basically like, don't be mean to this group, don't say these things. And a lot of it is true. It's, like, you know,
it's good message. Yeah, you shouldn't be misogynistic.
You know, yeah, you should, like, it's not.
Even though
it's funny how you're saying that.
Practice what you don't preach. I mean, preach what you don't
do
practice.
as we say, not as we do.
Yeah.
But, no, you know, it's like, it's not the messages that, like, you know, that are, like, lame. It's just the delivery and the sort of, like, implication of the rules, quote unquote. But whatever. Like, you know, we'd watch the assembly, and it is all in goodwill. But, like, you know, me and my friends would just sit there ripping on it. Yeah. And that's the things about high schools. It's not as explicitly horrifying as kids are just getting beat up. But, like, you just say, you'll always have that group in the back that's just like, yeah, fuck these pussies. And just, like, even when you're doing something serious that kind of matters. Like, I remember, like, there's a scene in Family Guy where Peter laughs in such a way where, like, a character's just like, oh, I'm sorry, like, my dad passed away. And Peter's like,
I have remember.
Yeah. And, like, during the anti-violence performance, there was, like, a scene where the kids are, like, it was, like, this bit where, like, they're going up to, like, microphones. Like, there's 2 microphones on stage, and the kids would go up there and read, quote-unquote, letters to their parents about, like, their trauma and their struggles. And, like, one of them was, like, finishing up, and she's like, this is why it's so hard for me. And I just have always had to tell you, Mom, Dad, I'm a lesbian. And as soon as she said that, I was just like, and it fucking echoed through the whole auditorium.
Was everybody laughing?
Me and my friends were howling, but everyone else was probably just looking at us like we deserved to die.
What the fuck? Did you get in trouble? Or?
No, I didn't get in trouble, because the thing is, when you're in an assembly, like, the teachers will do everything they can not to disrupt it. So, like, you can get away with fucking around with it as long as you're low-key. Like, we would never, like, you wouldn't scream out too much because then you get caught. It would be like, if you're gonna shout something out, like, make, you know, it's few and far between. Mostly it's just whispering amongst each other. Like,
I had another Family Guy quote that I remember now. It was, we had, like, this inspirational woman. Like, because here's the thing, when you're in high school, you're, like, a piece of shit. Yeah. And it's just a law. And
it's a law of nature, in fact.
Yeah, you're just a piece. So we had this woman who had, like, one leg, and one of her legs was, like, that metal leg. And she went up. Remember in Family Guy when Stewie sees Joe in the wheelchair? He's like, "Yeah, go Cyborg!"
God!
I shouted.
Oh my God! What the fuck?
It was really fucked up. And I was an asshole. God! And it was not even. I did it. Obviously, she couldn't hear me.
It was a little more fucked up than what I did. No,
yeah. No. Well, the thing is,
we're both being fucked up.
But like, still. I wasn't saying, like, she couldn't hear me. I wouldn't do that. Like, I wasn't like that. Cause that would be like sociopathic. Like, I'm not gonna. Yeah. I just did it loud enough so that my friends could hear.
Just loud enough so you get the ego boost.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, there you go, guys.
My friends think I'm cool and funny and edgy. Yay. You know.
I mean, yeah. Like, I remember. It wasn't always me. Like, one time there was this, like, this one was a little more fucked up because this was kind of, like, a little bit racist. Like, there was this dude, like, it was, like, this whole assembly about, like, the story of these guys who, like, moved to America, like, literally from Africa, and they became, like, activists or whatever. And one of the guys was, like, giving their performance, and he opened, like, the floor to questions. And the first hand goes in the air, and he picks it. He's like, yes, what's your question? And it wasn't me, I swear. But some kid, it was literally just like, how tall are you? And the whole crowd just, like, burst out laughing. And it was almost like the whole performance just didn't matter.
I don't get it.
Because he was a super tall black dude. Like, and, like, he just told this whole story of, like, his fucking, like...
Oh, it's like a painful story.
Yeah, like a pain, like, of like, struggle and redemption. And then he's like, damn, you're tall as fuck.
Yeah, see, that's
like,
you should not have, like, serious stuff with high school. Because, like, high schoolers... They can't take anything seriously. You have to do it in, like, a funny...
Not even can they not do it. Like, when you're younger, you, like, can't. Like, when you're a little kid, you can't take things seriously. When you're high school, you're, like, you can, but for some reason, your inclination is that it's wrong to take things seriously.
Because, like, it's, like, a fucked up... And it's wrong. Like, we're not talking about this as if we're, like, encouraging this. Like, this is obviously all bad.
Yeah, we're just reminiscing on when it was okay to be a piece of shit.
Like, like, it wasn't even okay. It was just the way it was. It was just, you know, that's the way, like, we were pieces of shit. Like, there was, we never had that. We had like this guy Paul. I forget his last name, but he came in every 9/11 and was like talking about all this. He was like a former cop or something, and he was a public speaker, but he was supposed to be like a cool dude.
Yeah.
You know, and he was telling the story about like this guy who lost his dad on 9/11 or some shit. It was Pete Davidson. And no, I'm just kidding. But
oh God.
sorry, Pete. I'm just kidding. Please let
sorry.
me open for you.
Please. We hate you and we don't think you're funny, but please give us a piece of your career.
Yeah. So anyway, what I was saying was, and then he, I swear to God, he put on the karaoke version of Will Smith's version of Just the Two of Us. And he rapped along to it.
Oh my God.
It was just the cringiest shit.
Oh. See, and that's like, you gotta know going in.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think these kids are gonna think?
We were all like, listen, we don't have to be in class right now, so fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Any excuse to not be in class, we're like, we'll take. But one year he had like local actors come in and have this after school special about anti-bullying. And so they even had like a whole set up background of like a school. And they're like, hey Dave, nice shoes, you dork. And it's like, why are you guys so mean to me? 'Cause you're different than us. You see, guys, you shouldn't be mean to people that are different.
Imagine it got like way too dark. Like it was just like, yeah, Dave, you're different. Now strip. And he's just like, what? Yeah, that's right, Dave. Your difference is making me insecure because my dad molests me. Now strip for us.
All the kids are like looking at each other.
Yeah, right. Like it's a bunch of like 8-year-olds. Like, oh, why is it?
Why are we doing
I'm
this?
Scared. Like, and the teachers are just kind of like looking at each other. Like, was this in the description?
Like, can you? Yeah, exactly. Like, what the fuck? All right, that's great.
Yeah,
the
right.
Comes up like,
everybody's like, all right, thank you guys.
The
actor just pulls a gun. He's just like, we're not done with the play yet.
It's just like prop gun.
It's like, are you sure that's not a? Yeah, that's right. We're gonna finish the play. So anyway,
like, wow, this is really realistic.
Yeah, the kids are like, the effects. This is like a movie.
Holy shit, we're impressed.
The kid goes, he's like, Mom, it was great. They shot the principal. Just like, what?
They shouldn't have this. Well, I mean,
you know why? Because it kind of like adults think that assemblies and performances are a good way to reach kids because it's entertaining, but kids have higher standards than adults realize. So it's so easy to like completely make yourself or whatever message you're trying to send seem completely ridiculous to children just by doing it wrong. Like I always remember there was this one nutritional assembly we used to have, and it was like Jack Sprat, low fat. Like that, it was this character named Jack Sprat, and his whole thing was he was low fat. And they had this costume? It didn't have a costume. It was just like this 38-year-old who's just like, yeah, I'm a kid. Like he just goes on stage and he's wearing like a t-shirt that's like 4 sizes too big and like cargo pants. And he's like, I'm a child like you guys. And like it was just like they had a song. It was like Jack Sprat, low fat, Jack Sprat, low fat, world tour. And I never got the world tour part. Even at that age, I was like, you guys really tour this? You guys make
Vietnam.
Yeah, right. Then we're gonna be in Afghanistan next week for the USO show.
I decided to be in Azerbaijan.
And it's just like, you gotta, if you're gonna do stuff like that, this is really a message for educators more than anybody. But if you're gonna do stuff like that, you gotta, you need to get a better perception of what kids think is cool or at least
really
fun.
Scare the shit out of these.
Yeah,
like I remember when I was in 7th grade. I never heard of school shootings or Columbine or any of that shit. And then they had an assembly where they talked about Columbine, and it was like, what the fuck is that? And so they played this documentary about it, and they showed footage of the shooting of the Columbine, and they had like the audio of people go, I'm so fucking scared, Mom and Dad, I'm never gonna see you again.
Holy shit!
And there was what's her name, like Megan or whatever.
Rachel.
Rachel.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and she was like, Rachel was shot twice, and these kids killed themselves, and I was like, what the fuck?
I was
12 years old.
I have an almost more fucked up story of learning about Columbine, but continue.
Like it was the scariest fucking thing I've ever seen. And then you see these 2 kids, and they're just like normal kids, and then you just see them, they're like monsters, and they're shooting a bunch of kids. And it really fucking scared the shit out of me. And what was more fucked up was at the end, they're like, Okay, so that's it. Back to class.
Yeah, right.
And we just go back to. I went back. It was woodshop class, and
you're just like, staring at the jigsaw. You're like, holy shit.
And everyone was like, Jack, are you okay? Like, what the fuck was that? Like, we're just going to ignore the...
Are we not going to address what we saw?
That was the most horrible thing I've ever seen in my life. It was scary.
I mean, yeah.
So that could be a way to do it.
Maybe. I will tell you, though, people go too far with that, too, because the story of how I learned about Columbine is actually a little more fucked up. But, like, here's what happened. You see, when I was a kid, I just, my sense of humor has always been dark and fucked up. But when I was a kid, I just didn't get, like, what it meant to find dark things funny. So I used to think it was just funny to, like, write the word, like, kill and, like, death or, like, suicide. I was like, yo! Like, and one day I wrote death, die, kill on, like, you know how in 4th grade you have those desks that have, like, the little cubby inside of it where you can put your books? I wrote death, die, kill in the cubby. And, like, me and my friend, like, I had one friend, we were just, like, laughing. We were like, yo, it's so funny. We're, like, 10, I didn't get that. Like, I just thought it was funny because it was against the rules. Like, I didn't understand what was so fucked up. And then the next day, I got sent to the school psychologist. And, like, literally, like, he was talking to me about it. He's like, what makes you think those words are funny? Why do you want to write those words? And I'm just like, I don't know. Like, I'm 10 years old. I'm really nervous. I don't like being in trouble. Like, and he says, like, you ever heard of Columbine? And I'm 10. Like, literally, I was just like, no. Yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, I read about it in the paper when it happened. Like, what do you mean? And he's like, well, basically what happened is these kids, they were bad kids. They were bad people, and they took these guns to their school and they shot a bunch of kids in the school. And I was so innocent, dude. I remember just being like, well, I don't know. I've never seen that movie. Yeah. And he's just like, it's not a movie. It's real life. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, and he's like, you know what was the worst thing? Guess what they wrote? I was like, what did they write? He was like, death, die, kill.
So he's like, this guy, you're a 10-year-old kid that you're going to shoot up a school.
Exactly. Like, I'm 10 years old. This guy's convincing me that I'm on track to be a school shooter.
Because the idea of a school shooter is just crazy. The fact that anybody, like, when you're a young kid, the fact that anybody can kill your classmates.
And I had never heard of this. Not only was I just then learning about it, from an adult who I'd never met before, I was learning that I might be on track for the same shit. I was doomed to be an incel from the start.
Yeah,
that's when people talk about, like, American public education being shitty, like, that's a perfect example. Yeah. That was the complete wrong way to handle that with a kid my age.
How about, like asking, instead of just, like, doing that, to be like, why are you writing, like, what
just, like, explain it. Be like, well, those words are not funny because they mean really horrible things. And, like, try, don't just be like,
or try to
find out, shooter said the same thing. Like,
we're trying to, like, find out, like, what's going on with you. Like, maybe.
Yeah, or that. Like, maybe I do have something. Instead of just, like, convincing me that I might fucking kill my classmates one day.
I was trying to, like, scare the shit out of you.
Like, I didn't know what sex was yet, but I knew what school shootings were.
Like, yeah.
I was...
Sex also is another thing that's, like, they don't...
Oh, it's done so badly.
It's terrible. When I was in 9th grade, my health teacher was Coach Hanner. He was the soccer coach, and he was like in his 30s or whatever, and his voice cracked a lot of times. It's like, okay, guys, so today we're gonna learn about safe sex.
Oh, dude, as a kid, that'd be so funny.
I was like, it was amazing. I was like, dude, there's no way.
You're like sitting in the back of class, just like holding your lips. Like, what?
And me and my friend Pinto were just like, dude, this is amazing, and like. But he taught sex just the wrong way. He's like, you should never have sex until you're married.
Oh,
he's like,
one of those
I'm
guys.
A Christian and I don't believe until sex. And it's like, you shouldn't be teaching abstinence. Kids are gonna fuck.
Yeah,
okay?
Like, you gotta teach safe sex. And my school, to be fair, did a decent job with it. They just didn't, they didn't do a good job of teaching me what sex actually, is. Like, I knew, eventually, I learned that it was contact of penis and vagina. Eventually, I learned that sperm came out of the penis. But I think they were too afraid to explain it in the way that actually is just no, literally, you jizz, white liquid
White
spurts out of your
tongues.
dick into the vagina. Like, your dick goes in the vagina. Like, I had to learn that, like, I knew that sex was contact with dick for vagina, but from public school education, I thought you just, like, rub it up against it.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know it could actually go in
inside of it.
until I watched porn. Like, I watched porn and I saw the dick going in for the first time. At first, I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, actually, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, did you also have that thing? Like, when I was in 6th grade, we had this assembly night where every boy and their dad, I guess if you didn't have a dad, you just didn't go or something. Like,
yeah, right.
You weren't.
It's like come to maturity night. Every boy brings their dad, and if you don't have a dad,
you're not invited.
Yeah, you're not.
You just can't
figure puberty out on your own. I don't know.
You can't come, and you
find some other.
They had a sign saying "No kids without dads."
Yeah, right. Like no dadless losers. Like,
Get a fucking dad.
It's like if you need somebody, find some adult to be your dad.
Find a homeless guy and pay him to be your dad for a night.
Yeah, like just do something. Don't come here dadless like a freak.
But they had kids, and we were 11 years old, and we went there with our dads, and they also had like the gym teachers.
Yeah, we did the same thing.
They would teach us about
night.
Maturity night. They would teach us about sex, and we were 11, so every time they mentioned penis or vagina, we all just snickered, and it was hilarious. Afterwards, they had like snacks outside. And we were like, hey guys, remember when he said penis?
Yeah, right.
That was fucking awesome. When he said testicles and vagina, holy shit, that's our teacher. He just said vagina.
Yeah,
and
true.
Just like,
there was one teacher
that's the pinnacle of humor when you're 11.
Yeah, when you're 11, there's nothing funnier than a teacher saying that. There was one teacher who did, I think this is actually smart to do as a teacher. I didn't have this guy, but I heard that when it got to that unit in middle school to talk about puberty, he's like, I know we're going to be saying a lot of funny words, so we're just going to get it out right now. And this is what he did. He just goes, on the count of 3, everybody say penis! And the whole school's like, not the whole school, that'd be crazy. The whole class is like, penis! And he's like, everyone say vagina! And they're like, vagina! He's like, no, everyone say sex! And it's like,
see, that's a cool teacher.
That's a good teacher right there. Yeah. Like, you know how to...
You gotta know what your kids, you know what your students are about.
Because A, he's literally right, that will get it out of their systems. And B, it's like, you're showing your kids that you're not trying to like creep them out with this stuff. Like you're just, and you're kind of relating to them.
If you're like that too serious, like, guys, I know that these are nothing funny about this. This is, as soon as you say there is nothing funny about this,
it becomes so much funnier.
It just is like
it's hilarious now. Like
you can't be serious about teaching about sex.
Sex is like once you attach a monocle to it, it becomes hilarious. Like it's like her. It's very proper and orthodox how we talk about sexual intercourse. Yeah, right.
We watched that documentary, and I think it was in 8th grade, like The Miracle of Life with like John Lithgow narrating, and it was just like
oh my god,
about like what happens with the sperm going into the eggs and meat, and then at the end of the movie, you see a head coming out of the vagina, and the whole class was going like, holy fucking shit! Like everybody was like losing their minds. It's like, like this is
birth.
This is childbirth.
I had seen that younger somehow. Like I don't know where, but somehow I had seen like a childbirth on TV. Maybe I think my parents thought it was okay because it was just like a childbirth. It wasn't
natural.
Like it wasn't like so hot. But like since then, I've developed a childbirth fetish. No, but since then, it's yeah, it's just kind of crazy. Like you do need it to an extent, education. It's just one of those things that schools never really do right.
No, they don't. We had a fucking project where we each wrote about an STD in 9th grade.
I chose AIDS because AIDS has always been my favorite.
Yeah, well, that was the thing. I was like, I got chlamydia, and my friend got gonorrhea. It's like, damn it, I want gonorrhea.
Yeah, right. Wait, you get to write about gonorrhea? Aw.
I wish I had gonorrhea.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I mean, you do need it. Otherwise, like, you get the movie Kids.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, for what it's worth, my school did a good job of teaching us about, like, AIDS. And, like, you can't get it from just, like, being around, blah, blah, blah. It's just one of those
they taught it, like, well. Like, you have to have sex with a girl who has AIDS, and then you get.
And then AIDS. You're the man, yeah.
It's the coolest fucking dude ever.
Yeah, it's just badass after that. I remember like what they did an even worse job on was drugs. Like, it's basically, like, they just lumped marijuana in with everything.
Well,
and I'm not one of these dude weed people, but it's like, if you lump weed in with everything, like, kids are going to smoke weed and be like, oh, wow, this is actually not that bad for me. Like, I'm not failing my classes. Like, I don't feel like I'm going to die. Like, I don't even have a hangover. I guess they were lying about all the others, too.
Let me try heroin now.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, did you have Officer Wendy?
No. We had Dare, though. Did you have Dare?
Yeah, that was the woman who came in.
Oh, yes, we did have Officer Wendy then.
Officer Wendy.
Yeah, I remember that bitch.
She came in fucking 5th grade. They had like a Dare.
She came in like beefed up too. She had guns on like both sides of her waist. It was like, holy shit.
Packing.
It's like, Jesus. Like,
she was all uniformed up.
Is there going to be a shooter here? Like,
and
what the fuck?
she had her uniform and everything, and they gave us these packets with the line on front, and they would all have like these worksheets, and like, Kevin says his friends want to offer him a joint of marijuana. What should Kevin do? And you're like, don't smoke the marijuana, and that was what you were supposed to write.
Yeah, right. Like, it's just
I found that years later. I was like, wow.
You know what's the biggest irony of my life is that at the end of the DARE program in my school, I don't know how it worked for you, but we all wrote an essay just about like why we, just write an essay about why you're not going to do drugs was essentially the assignment. And, I just rewrote what any 10-year-old who wants to get a good grade, right? And, any 10-year-old who at the time believed this is just like, yeah, I'll never do drugs because it's too good for me, and, like, I'm above that, and I'll never drink, and I'll never, like, smoke because blah, blah, blah. And I actually won. It was like a contest, and I actually won. My essay won, dude. My anti-drug essay won. Fast forward not even 20 years.
Renee came in
I comp tonight. Like, so bad. Now I have many addictions: drugs, alcohol, masturbation, and true crime documentaries.
Yeah,
there's a segue for you right there into our next topic.
Yeah, so you saw that. You want to talk about that show that you watched? Yeah,
because I started watching Unsolved Mysteries.
I haven't seen it. I know that there was an older version with Robert Stack as the narrator of Unsolved Mysteries from like the 80s and whatever.
I'm sure there was, yeah.
And
I can imagine 80s Unsolved Mysteries, though. It's just like every single mystery is just like, yeah, we just don't have the forensic technology yet. Like,
you gotta wait, bros.
Like, yeah, maybe like 30 years from now we'll be able to figure it out. Like, that's why Unsolved Mysteries from recent years are crazier, because like even with all forensic shit, it's like it doesn't get found out. That's why I've been studying. But it's just a crazy show, because you watch the show and what's crazy about it is like in some of the episodes, even the people they're interviewing like might be suspects. Like, it's not like, oh, just because they're being interviewed, they're clearly like on the good side looking for the person. Like, there was one episode where it was like basically this kid's mom went missing and was found murdered, and like, she had like a new boyfriend who like hated him and stuff and this and that. And like the day that she died, like he was at school, or that they found her body or something, or whatever that she went. I'm fucking it up. The day that something significant about it happened, he went home and his like the boyfriend had like changed all the locks on the door so he couldn't get in his own house. Oh. And they were interviewing the guy. Like, the guy was like, yeah, I like my wife. My wife, he was the greatest time of my life when I was with my wife. I still have her ashes, by the way, and I don't let her son see that. It's just like, you did it.
Yeah.
This is the guy. Like,
that's
he's right there.
Excuse.
Yeah, right? And, like, he kept trying to give, because he was like, I understand why people think I might have done it. Like, a lot of times, like, husbands and boyfriends kill their significant others. But my alibi makes perfect sense. Like, it was basically his argument. It was like, yeah, I couldn't have been there at the time. Like, I was at work, or, like, it was too far away. It's just like, shouldn't your response be, I would literally never kill the love of my life?
Yeah.
Instead, it's just like, yeah, dude, I couldn't have been there. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why, I can't believe you're even asking me this question.
Yeah, but instead, it's just like, he literally said, nice try at one point. He's like, yeah, nice try.
People have been asking me this since the day it happened.
Yeah, right? He's like, yeah, dude, I got this shit memorized. So it was 8 o'clock. 3 o'clock, sorry. Like,
he has to, like, hold up note cards.
Yeah, right. He has cue cards, like, taped into his wallpaper that are, like, hidden. And he's like, yeah, he's, like, looking over the interviewer's shoulder. He's like, so then I went.
So wait, is this, like, every episode?
It's a different story every episode, yeah. So basically, they just take true stories of unsolved cases that are, in most cases, like, they might be cold, but there's still room for development. Okay. And a lot of times, it's just like law enforcement. Law enforcement's crazy with it, because people will be like, my son has not come back. He would be back. And they're just like, he'll turn up. Yeah. And then they're like, here he is dead. We just found him 3 weeks later. They're like, he probably fell or something. And it's just like, well, look, you could see like multiple stab wounds, like, you can see all this, like, lacerations around the neck.
There's a note that says, this guy killed me.
Yeah, right? There's a note that says, let it be known that I'm being murdered right now by this individual. And they're like, he might have had depression. He might have been bipolar. Did we look into his past? Have we gone on his social media? It seems weird how, like, law enforcement always seems to want to not do the work.
Yeah, or, like,
Like, when it comes to busting people for bullshit on the street, they're right there. But when it comes to, like, who murdered my mom, they're all like...
I don't know. What do you want us to, like, do? You want us to, like, try?
You want us to, like, do our job? Come on.
Who the fuck no? That reminds me of, like, did you ever watch Children's Hospital on Adult Swim?
I've seen it, but I don't, like, remember it that well.
There's an episode where, like, a kid comes in with a stab wound, and they're like, we gotta find out what happened. And they're like, well, I think there's a knife in the guy's chest. Maybe that, like, was he on drugs? Like, how did this happen? And they're like, we need to interview the people involved with the schools. Like, don't you think this is easy if you just, like, treat the knife wound and just, like, an obvious fucking...
That's what it's like, though.
Yeah.
Like, the medical examiner, there was one episode about, like, this black guy named Alonzo Brooks, which basically, like, this guy just has the worst friends ever. Like, they took him to a party in, I think it was, like, Alabama or Georgia or something, in a random town. They heard someone say the N-word at the party. They saw him almost get into a fight with a guy, and then they all left the party without him. And then, surprise, surprise, he got murdered. Yeah, like, and it's just like First of all, it's like even if there's like trains around, which it's not. You're in the middle of bumfuck nowhere below the Dixie line. Yeah. Even if there's like ways to get home, it's like if I'm at a party with my bro and like someone's getting in his face, and if he's black and I hear someone say the N-word, I'm leaving then. Yeah. Like as soon as I hear, I was like, yo, like. Let's go. Like, they just said the N-word and you're black. We need to leave. Like, that would be my first thought.
Like, these guys are, they probably have white hoods in their trunk.
Right? Yeah, right? Like, they probably have, like, handmade nooses in their closet. Yeah. Like, these people are like...
They've been waiting all day to use these.
Like, they're interviewing these kids. And these kids are like, well, he was having a good time when we left the party. It's like... You said you saw him almost fight a guy who called him the N-word. And you were like, it looked like he was having fun. Looked like a blast.
They were just kidding around.
You do a couple shots, N-bombs come out. Yeah. It is what it is. It's just...
We were drinking N-bombs.
Yeah, we're doing N-bomb shots. Like...
It's like Jaeger bombs, except more fists.
You just do a Jaeger bomb and say the N-word right after. It's great. Like, it's just so crazy to me. And then what's nuts about it is when they found his body, like... Literally, they called in, like, every possible search team for this guy, and they didn't find him for 3 weeks. And then his family did a private search, and they found him in, like, 30 minutes. Wow. Makes no sense. And then, like, the medical examiner's like, well, he's probably been there the whole time. It's like, yeah, but they had the whole fucking barrage. Like, you literally had, like, every possible search team looking in the same area, and the family finds him in a half hour. It's like, that makes no sense. That's like if you had every government agency giving me a drug test and it all came up negative, and then my parents gave me one and it came up positive. Like,
yeah, no, it's the police in the South looking for a black guy.
Yeah, they're just like, I don't know.
Like, who gives a shit? That's what they're thinking.
They're probably just like, can we even tell them between the dirt? Like,
they probably are involved. They probably are friends with the guys who killed him.
I wouldn't be surprised if the whole goddamn town is involved. Because they interviewed the medical examiner, too. And it's like, his body was found here. And the guy's like, there's no proof that he was murdered. He's been decayed too much. It's like, I think the proof that he was murdered is that his dead body was found right there. Like, what do you mean? Nobody just walks into the woods.
Can't you see the writing on the wall?
Like, after, like you, even if he could have, like, you need to, like, find a way to, like, prove that. Like, what's more likely? Oh, this guy just, like, wandered away from a party where people were saying the N-word to him and then died in the woods. Or... he got fucking murdered. Like, what's more likely, you retard? Like, he's a medical examiner. He knows more about it than me, but it's like, you gotta be retarded. Like,
no, yeah. Like I said, they probably just don't give a shit because he's black.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. Like,
I gotta check this. So it's a good show.
It's a great show. Anybody who hasn't watched it, I would highly recommend Unsolved Mysteries.
I love true crime stuff.
It's addictive, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Because it's just the idea of not knowing.
It's just kind of
just like, I gotta fucking find out what happens. Like, it's just like it bothers it. That's what I love about television shows. It'll just linger on your brain.
Yeah,
and it's just like. You will literally not be able to stop thinking about it, like, you doing whatever, and you're like, I gotta watch the next episode. I can't, I'll just fucking gotta kill somebody.
This show is definitely like that. Even though there's no continuing story, it makes you want to see another one.
Another, like
you're just like, I want to see another one of these.
It's like a serial kind of thing, you know what I mean?
It's very similar to Serial in that it's about those cases that are, like, still sort of open.
Yeah.
And, like, what, you know, I think what's cool about it is that it raises awareness for those cases. Like, they actually exhumed Alonzo Brooks's body over the episode to look for more investigation. So it's good. I just don't know why I'm so addicted to it. Like,
I mean, it's because it's like it gives you to a world that you're not like that is so foreign to us, and that our part of the country is that we have no understanding of. Like you said that you never watched Making a Murderer.
Yeah, I haven't yet. No.
I love that show. I would not watch it now because fuck the police right now.
Yeah, that's right. Like, fuck the police, go straight from.
And it made me angry when I was watching. It's not a show. It's a show that you're like got to find out what happens, but you're just so angry.
Yeah, like that show seems like it would piss me off. Unsolved Mysteries pisses you off too, but like that just seems like it's not.
At least it's like one episode. That pisses you. But like this is like every episode is the same case. And just the things that the cops... It's not only, like, how manipulative, it's just how petty these cops are. Because this guy, they framed this guy a long time ago, and he got off. And because he made the cops look bad, they just want to get revenge on him for sullying their reputation. They're just so small-minded and petty. Right.
It's literally like childish games.
It's just like, it's so just like, you're just so small. And it just shows how much of an influence they can just literally do whatever they want. They can change evidence.
Yeah, right. Like, if they decide they want to keep you in jail, it doesn't matter if you're really innocent. That's what people forget about the American justice system. They're like, as long as you're really innocent, you'll be fine. It's like, no, dude, that's not the case. Like,
you always need to have a lawyer on you at all times. Do not trust the police. The police are not your friends.
Yeah. But, I mean, you know, we can go on about that. Either way, it's just
we've already gone on about that.
Yeah, we have plenty. Yeah. But either way, it's just like, I don't know why this shit, like, something like that pisses me off too much.
Yeah.
But, like, for a while, I was addicted to, like, serial killer documentaries and shit. Yeah. And it's like, see, that shit, like, scares me. Like, that shit makes me want to, like, lock my doors at night. But it's like, I just keep watching it. Like, I don't understand. Like, they're literally like, and then he cut his dick off and fed it to him. And I'm like, that's horrible. What else? Like, it's just like, why am I so into this? Like,
that's why you gotta watch The Jinx. It's about Robert Durst, who
I heard about it, yeah.
He is the most cold-blooded motherfucker I've ever seen in my life. And, like, they even did, like, an It's Always Sunny episode parodying it. But he's, like, he was so evil. Like, each episode would talk about the cases that he was accused of being murdered. So he would come in and they would interview him. And while they were filming the show, he would just go out and kill more people. And then go back the next day.
Jesus.
And just be on the show more.
That's a real psychopath. Like, you leave the show, you literally, like, commit a murder that night. Like, you strangle somebody with a shoelace. And then the next day, you're just getting coffee at work again.
Just
like,
talking
what's up,
about
guys?
it. But he's, like, just talking about, like, cases.
Like, literally, like, 12 hours earlier, it's like, ah! And then the next day, it's like, oh, man, rain again.
Yeah. But he's, like, he keeps talking about how he's not a murderer while he goes out and murders people. And there's one scene when, like, they leave, he's getting interrogated and by the police, and they just leave the camera on by accident, and he's just staring blankly into the camera for, like, 10 minutes.
Oh, God.
And it's like, when you're watching, he's, like, looking into your soul. And it's like, this dude...
It's so disturbing.
And what's crazy about these guys is that, I was saying about, like, how the Columbine killer is earlier, is that they always just look... just like regular people. They don't look anything like freaks.
That's what makes them able to get away with it.
Yeah, they're
just, the bad serial killers just get caught. They can't become serial killers
because they look like a freak.
And they look and behave like they're gonna murder somebody. But like a real serial killer, like a really professional psychopath, could literally be like your best friend. Like he could actually like assume like the appearance of caring about you and like wanting to help when really like there's just no feelings. And that's what's so scary about it is that you never really... I mean, we know somebody like that.
Yeah, exactly, you know.
Yeah, we know a psychopath. I don't think we need to say who it is.
No, we all know.
But we all know who we're talking about. But anyway, it's like I remember there was this one case I was obsessed with. And I don't even know why. But it's like, it's basically this serial killer that ran rampant in Houston, Texas in the 70s. At the time, the term serial killer didn't really exist yet. So they called it the Houston mass murders. Mm. But basically, like... this dude who owned a candy shop named Dean Corll paid these two kids, like these teenagers who lived in the neighborhood. He paid them like $200 each to lure like their friends to his house to like smoke weed under the guise of like smoking weed and like there's gonna be a party later, so that they could like either drug them or just basically like attack them and like handcuff them to a torture board, and then they basically just would torture these kids for like 3 days straight and murder them and bury them on the beach.
Jesus,
it's a crazy case because it wasn't just one guy. These two kids happened to be psychopaths too, and he was like, "I'll literally pay you guys like $200 per if you bring your friends over here to hang." And we can make it happen. And they would join in. Like, they would join in on, like, could you imagine you're with your boy? Like, you're just with your buddy. And he's like, yo, let's go to, like, a party. Yo, there's going to be girls there. Like, it's at my friend's house. He's older, but he's, like, cool with it. Like, we're going to smoke weed. It's like, hell yeah, bro, I'm so down. And you're, like, dapping up on the way. And then all of a sudden, you just pass out in, like, the basement of the dude's house and wake up tired. You're like, oh, what the fuck? Huh?
There was a movie about that, or at least a very similar premise to it. It came out last year called Ma.
Ma?
With Octavia Spencer, the black lady from The Help. And it had a very similar premise where she plays this woman who's like they find her, she's by, these teenagers find her, she's like grocery shopping, it's like, lady, can you buy some alcohol? And she's like, okay. And then she buys them the alcohol, and she's like, you guys want to have a real party? And she's like, and then they go to her house, and they're like, they're partying. And then, it becomes known that, oh, Ma's house is, the cool house. Let's all party at Ma's house. And they're, they wake up and they're like, we don't remember what happened. And things start to get, really fucked up. And so, Ma starts to FaceTime. Like, you guys got to come back for more partying. And they're like, we don't want to go back to Ma's house.
Oh,
and
God.
The whole thing is a metaphor for drug addiction.
Oh, true.
Because it's this temptation keeps luring them back and destroying their lives, even when they realize that it's bad for them.
So it's kind of gay. I get it. No, I'm kidding.
Themselves.
That actually sounds like a good movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie. It got bad reviews, but I like that. It was I get what they're doing.
Poignant. But this is different. This wasn't a symbolic representation of drug addiction. This was just an owner of a candy shop raping and murdering kids in a neighborhood.
It's much darker and much more real.
Yeah, I don't know if he really had a poignant message behind it.
There was no poetry.
He's just stabbing a kid in the asshole. He's like, ah! He's like,
this is really symbolic.
He's like, you have to understand. This is about environmentalism, really.
Yeah. This is symbolic right now that I'm doing this.
I think what the craziest part of it is the way it ends in the case is the kid, one of the kids, he's murdering, he's about to start murdering their friends, and this time he had a chick, and I guess just the fact that there was a chick there made the kid you know what, I can kill dudes, but I'm not gonna be a fag that kills a chick. And then he just freaked out and murdered the guy who owned the house right there.
It's so gay to kill women.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a fag and kill a woman. It's it's just so weird. It took that long. You watched 18 of your friends get brutally tortured to death, and now you're going to fucking shoot
now
this guy.
My morals are
suddenly I realized how wrong I am.
Well, Long Island, we have our own unsolved serial killer case.
Oh, yeah, the Gilgo Beach.
If you want to talk about that for a little while.
Gilgo Beach Killer, right?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I don't know much about that case.
I mean, I know a little bit about it. There's actually a movie that came out that is pretty good, but it was the most depressing thing in the world called Lost Girls about that.
Oh, God.
And it was really just the most depressing thing because it was just a bunch of prostitutes that were killed, dismembered, and just buried in various parts of Gilgo Beach. And what that movie showed was just how horrible and inept the police were in solving a murder, because the police were like, these are prostitutes. We don't really need to give a shit.
I mean, them. That's the thing.
They didn't care. They didn't apply much effort into finding them.
People forget that's why a lot of cases go unsolved. It's not because they're not solvable. It's because a lot of times law enforcement doesn't give a crap.
They just don't give a shit.
They just have better things to do.
Because it looks bad if they don't solve. If they can't solve it, it looks bad. So it's better not to try. And then
just make up some excuse. Be like, well, it's undetermined.
Then to try and be like, we can't find it. Then it looks bad in the department. But to everyone else, it's like, well, at least you honestly gave a shit.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just so weird. At least you if anything, people want a police force more for stuff like that than like pulling people over for traffic violations and shit. Like, I would rather have a police force knowing that they're solving unsolved murders than knowing that they might like pull me over. Yeah. But you're way more likely to get pulled over than to have an unsolved crime actually get solved. Like,
oh yeah, well, I mean, like the thing is also is that like no cops care. Cops have a very biased thing because it's like if you're a child of a politician or that gets kidnapped, they will get the fucking state troopers, the National Guard. They will get anybody. If you're a prostitute that gets kidnapped, we might send a couple of guys over. It'll take a few hours. Yeah. What, we gotta fucking fill out paperwork for this shit?
It's like they're really just a cleanup crew, too. They're like, all right, I guess send some guys to find the body. It's like, we don't know if she's dead yet. It's like, dude.
It's all classism, man. It's all just based on, like, who you are. Like, their level of giving a shit depends on that's why people say, like, there is structural racism is a big reason because, like, in general, like, blacks make less money than whites people. Yeah. So they care less. You know, that's a part of the reason.
And it's also just kind of like, you know, like, I think of something like the Alonzo Brooks case. Like, every single person in his family was like, he would never do this. He would never not come home. He always comes home. And all that whole police force probably like, some young black dude who's probably out all night. Like, that's what they think. Like,
they have their stereotypes. He's probably out, you know.
I bet he tried to fight some, but, like, you know, that's probably what they think. And it's like, that's what's so addictive about it is it makes you want, it always leaves you wanting stuff like that.
And everybody has their own theories about that stuff. Like, the Gilgo Beach murder, that, the police commissioner kind of resigned in disgrace after that shit. Like, they were, like, really pissed. They exposed, like, the parents of the people that were murdered were just like, the police didn't do shit. And, like, everyone was pissed off, so the commissioner of Suffolk County fucking resigned. And there's this theory that there's this doctor that killed them. That he had known contact with these prostitutes, like, right before they all went missing.
Really?
But the cops refused to investigate this guy because he was tight with law enforcement.
Shit.
And immediately he immediately moved to San Francisco.
Conveniently right away. He's like, I was about to move. What?
So
that's always the best when it's like they conveniently moved away. It's just make it like there was another one on Unsolved Mysteries where it's like this guy basically agreed to move his whole family to another state to join like his friend's company and become part of the company. Then he went missing one day and he was found murdered. Like he was basically found murdered in such a way that it was clearly meant to look like a suicide, and it was very obviously a murder. Mm-hmm. And like the guy, his supposed best friend, who this dude literally moved his whole family for, refused to be interviewed for the documentary. Yeah, and I remember they mentioned in the documentary that the dude put up $1,000 reward for information about him. It's like $1,000. You own a company and you put up $1,000 for your best friend. Put up $50,000. You know what I mean? Like, it's such an obvious ploy. Like. And it's just like, it just raises the question. It's like, how did like law enforcement not want to like, yeah, they have to worry about infringing people's rights. But it's weird when you see cops working really hard to tear gas peaceful protesters, but not hard enough to like actually solve the crimes that we want them around to solve.
They don't want to go after people they're friends with or people that have like a good reputation. And it's all bullshit.
It kind of makes me think of this one case. Have you ever heard of Kendrick Johnson?
No.
I think that's his name. Basically, this is an unsolved murder where, like, this kid was found rolled up in a gym mat in his high school. And it was at first ruled as an accidental suicide. Like, the consensus was that he threw his, like, shoes into the already rolled up gym mat, tried to climb in and get them and got stuck. But it's, like, obviously bullshit because there was blood marks found, like, all over the gym and, like, other parts, like, on the doors and shit. Yeah. Like, there was another pair of shoes with blood marks on it that were never tested for some reason. How do you not test? Like, it's like, it's weird how a whole police department, literally, there's, like, a mountain of evidence in this room and they're just like, yeah, it's not, we're not going to examine it. Like, none of it got examined.
Well, how does that, that's such a dumb thing, like, a kid got stuck in a mattress. How does that even work?
Not even a mattress, like a rolled up mat. Like he went into the mat, like, cause like, let's say the mat's already rolled up and it's standing upright and you're like trying to do like basketball or whatever and you throw your shoe into it And then it's like, oh shit, my shoe's in there. I guess I gotta go get it. Any normal person would think, well, let me knock over the mat.
Yeah, let me roll out the mat.
Or like instead of climbing into the top.
Or
in a way into a shape that I can't get out of? Like, no way. No fucking way. Like, this kid was murdered, and the reason the cops aren't investigating... You know what, another thing? The public school was put in charge of the security footage. And the footage has been shown, based on studies, to have been edited.
What?
It's like, come on. Like, somebody knows somebody in these towns. Like...
We gotta solve these mysteries.
Yeah, that's it. Podcast Orange is officially a true crime podcast.
We're gonna
solve all these unsolved mysteries.
We're gonna put the police to shame.
Yeah, we're gonna hold everybody accountable. We're freedom fighters, really.
We're good people.
Yeah, we're awesome.
We're great.
I think that we really are saints, honestly.
I think that everybody should strive to be us.
Yeah. I truly think we are an example of a pinnacle of perfection.
We are the knights in shining armor.
Yep. Well, I guess that's about it for this one.
Yeah, I guess that's, you got anything else?
Rest in peace, Herman Cain't.
Rest in shitty pizza, Herman Cain't.
Rest in still frozen raviolis, Herman Cain't.
Oh my god. Fuck you, Herman Cain't.
All right, I think that's good. Thank you all for listening. Podcast Orange out.